Welcome to a new deep dive. We're the show that cuts through the noise to get straight to the core of complex stuff. Today, we're plunging into the shadows, talking about the Raven Guard, one of the most, enigmatic chapters in Warhammer 40,000. Our mission, as always, is to pull out the key insights from a whole stack of sources, give you a really clear picture of who they are, their history, and, how that identity plays out, both in the lore and on the tabletop.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating, I think, is how their origins, the Legion Astartes under Corvus Corax, really define them. That stealth, that precision strike capability. We'll definitely get into their big moments, especially during the Horus Heresy, and even look at how they fit into things like the Death Watch.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that identity first. The Raven Guard. They're not your standard charge straight ahead Space Marines, are they? Our sources really hammer home this mastery of infiltration, of covert ops. It's more than just tactics, it seems. They like to sow chaos, destabilize from the shadows, hit morale, command structures before the real fight even starts. It feels, colder, a more psychological kind of loyalty.
That's a great way to put it. And this whole specialization, it wasn't just picked out of a hat. It was forged in fire, quite literally. The lore is pretty clear they were decimated during the Heresy, horrific losses. But even then, utterly broken, they managed to give crucial, kind of subtle help to Leman Russ and the Space Wolves at Yarant, allowed that vital evacuation.
That really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How a force so battered could still have such an impact, even indirectly.
It really does. Speaks volumes about their tenacity, the adaptive thinking Corax instilled in them.
And moving past the heresy, those post-heresy decisions, that's where you see their unique strategic mind really shine, I think. Corax siding with Guilliman pretty quickly on the Codex Astartes. That was huge. Splitting the legions into chapters, that showed some radical foresight, breaking up his own legion like that, while others like Dorn and Russ were resisting it initially.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that decision really highlighted their pragmatism, their ability to adapt even during that chaotic reconstruction. And their influence doesn't just stop with their own chapter, does it? The sources point out they're active contributors to the Death Watch, sending veterans, guys like Edric Sadarax, Sefer Zed, specifically to fight Xenos threats, shows they're committed to the Imperium's wider security, using those specialized skills in, an elite combined force.
Okay, so bringing it all together, what does this mean for playing them on the tabletop? Sounds like the lore translates pretty directly into how they play.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost a one-to-one thing. Their mastery of infiltration. That means, deploying forward, messing with enemy lines before turn one even really kicks off. They've got unique stealth gear, chapter tactics built for ambushes, hit and run. It's all there.
But there's got to be a downside, right?
Definitely. That specialization cuts both ways. They're great in the shadows, but get them in a prolonged stand-up fight, they can struggle.
Right.
They're just not as tough head-on as some other chapters. So their effectiveness really hinges on having enough cover, using the terrain smartly, needs careful planning, high reward, basically. And in the current 10th edition, they're actually the inspiration for the whole Vanguard Spearhead detachment. Really buffs stealth units, penalizes enemies shooting from far away. It fits perfectly.
Wow. It really paints a picture of their subtle but really deep impact on how the Imperium wages war. From those origins as master infiltrators through the Heresy, the Codex decision, right up to their unique tabletop style, they're definitely a distinct and vital part of the Imperium.
Absolutely. Their whole story kind of highlights how these specialized approaches, even with built-in weaknesses, can be incredibly effective if you apply them with cunning and precision. It sort of leaves you wondering, doesn't it? In our own world, saturated with information, maybe sometimes that well-placed subtle move is more powerful than the big, loud confrontation. Something to think about.
Definitely something to ponder. Well, if you found this deep dive as fascinating as we did, please do share it with anyone you think might enjoy it, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next exploration. Thanks for listening, and goodbye for now.